In skateboarding, especially from the 90s onward, the most influential company in the industry has probably been the Crailtap Corporation, and the history there is worth going into. Crailtap's most recognizable brands are Girl, Chocolate, and Lakai, although there are other brands that are or have been associated with the Umbrella Corporation over the years. What makes the story of Girl and Chocolate special is that the brands managed to dominate the skate industry for roughly 2 decades, and they had a massive influence on the direction skate culture took in the 1990s and 2000s. Everyone wanted to skate like Guy Mariano and be as cool as Mike Carroll for a really long time. Keenan Milton's switch flipping over a picnic table at Lockwood was one of the most influential tricks ever done. Gino Iannucci's style influenced a generation of skaters, and skaters like Eric Costin and Stevie Williams have made huge impacts on skateboarding over the years. It's hard to overstate the role Girl and Chocolate skateboarders played in skate culture from the early 90s to the early 2010s. Beyond actual skateboarding, Crailtap skate videos, including Mouse and Yeah Right, remain some of skateboarding's most classic media, while videos like the Chocolate Tour, Fully Flared, and Pretty Sweet help set the tone for skating in their respective eras. Spike Jonze, the successful director of, among other movies, Being John Malkovich, also comes from Crailtap origins, having been a huge part of the creation of many of those videos. In addition, Girl videos have had celebrity cameos, including a classic skit featuring Owen Wilson, which I'll link to in the description. Due to a number of factors, including some unfortunate business decisions, the departure of former Crailtap skaters, a tone shift within the company's media, and big shoe companies moving into skateboarding, Girl, Chocolate, and Lakai no longer sit at the absolute top of the skate industry. They more share the top with other companies now. The origins of Crailtap lie in World Industries, which grew alongside the rise of street skating in the early 90s. First, for those that don't skate, here's a primer on how sponsorship works. Skateboards consist of a few pieces, but they're all sold separately. The most expensive part, and obviously the most important, is the wood itself. Companies that design and press the boards are known as board companies. Skate companies, including board companies, usually have teams, like cities have pro sports teams. Skateboarders are never on more than one of these teams and don't ride for multiple board companies. To complicate things, shoe companies also have teams, and those are unique too. For example, as of 2022, professional skateboarder Sean Malto rides for Girl, but also Nike's skate shoe company. It's like that for most skateboarding-related industries, from clothes to wheels. In addition, there are certain levels of being on a company's team. Flow riders get free boards from their sponsor, but aren't featured in official company coverage, while AMs officially represent the brand in skate media like videos or magazines. A level up, pro skaters have their name on a board and get a piece of the sales of those boards. But for skateboarders to really be able to support themselves, they basically need their name on a pair of shoes, or a deal with an energy drink or another sponsor with deep pockets. Back to World Industries, it was a company run by a man named Steve Rocco, and more or less relied on a business model similar to that of the music industry. Find easily impress young people, give them a minimal amount of money, work them hard, keep the profit, and hope they don't wise up and get a lawyer. Sadly, that kind of practice is still pretty common in the skate industry today. But eventually, a handful of skateboarders riding for World Industries did wise up. And in 1993, Girl Skateboards was incorporated by former World skaters Mike Carroll and Rick Howard, now famous director Spike Jonze, who had done video work for World, and mysterious Crailtap matriarch Megan Baltimore. Chocolate Skateboards was launched a year later, in 1994. Almost all of Girl and Chocolate's early riders came from World Industries. It was a giant shift of talent from one company to another. The first Girl video, titled Goldfish, came out shortly after the company was started, in 1994, and the video was a big deal. For non-skaters, a skate video is basically a collection of different sections of skateboarding, separated by the rider. In a company video, it's made up of sections for each amateur and pro on the team. Each part is made up of highlights that the skaters have recorded over the course of filming for the skate video. Teams will travel all over the world to collect clips of skaters doing tricks in different cities and at different spots. The second Crailtap video focused on the Chocolate team and featured the skaters themselves acting out the plot of a Western movie. Titled Las Nueve Vidas de Paco, it was released in 1995. Paulo Diaz specifically had a great part in it. By the middle of the 90s, the Girl and Chocolate teams were already skate royalty, and the two board companies were probably the most prestigious in the industry. However, the next video they released in 1996 would cement that role in a big way. Girl's Mouse, the third Crailtap video, is still widely regarded as being one of the best skate videos of all time. Guy Mariano's part is still one of the high points of skateboarding, 26 years later. And the rest of the video is mind-blowing too, with Keenan Milton's switch flip over the table being a highlight. Everything about Mouse, from the music choices to the skaters' styles to the Spike Jonze skits, remains influential today. You really have to see it for yourself, so check the link in the description. Mouse was also one of the last videos to be filmed on VHS, giving it a visual vibe that was revisited 21 years later in a Palace video named Palisonic. It's worth noting that, in the 90s, Crailtap basically didn't approach skaters outside of its founding members to join its teams. This started to change with established skaters from other companies being brought into the fold around the turn of the millennium. Around this time, Andrew Reynolds was invited to join 4Star, a Crailtap clothing brand. He described the company as feeling very elite and that it was a confirmation of his skills. Reynolds was also the first person to leave a Crailtap company in 2002, which says that over the entire 9 years before that, every rider on Girl and Chocolate remained loyal to the company. Around this time, Crailtap launched Lakai, a shoe company. Cairo Foster, a famous pro, quit his current shoe sponsor after Mike Carroll mentioned he was starting a company without any guarantees, which again should give you an idea of how prestigious the Crailtap companies were. Also in that era, 1999 saw the release of the video The Chocolate Tour, which launched the career of Stevie Williams with a part that was pretty insane. It needs to be noted that the Girl and Chocolate skaters were far from angels. Skateboarding in the 1990s and 2000s had a very boys will be boys mentality, and that bled over into some sketchy behavior. Several of the riders had substance abuse issues, and sadly, that would also prove influential on skateboarding culture. That said, this video is about Crailtap's positive contributions to skateboarding as a whole, and those issues were complicated. The tragic death of Keenan Milton is an example there, RIP. After the Chocolate Tour, the Crailtap camp was filming for the video that would become Girl's Yeah Right, another classic. Yeah Right wasn't as much of an industry earthquake as Mouse had been, but it's also a stellar skate video and kept up Crailtap standards at the time. After that video's release, its main cameraman and editor, Ty Evans, would go on to direct the first Lakai video, which was titled Fully Flared. The hype around this video was pretty extreme. Skateboarding doesn't really have a Super Bowl in terms of any one event, but when a big, mind-blowing video gets released, it hits a lot harder than any contest ever could. And Fully Flared, which came out in 2007, was that video. There were years of anticipation, and the video actually lived up to it, which is hard to imagine in today's skate video industry. Mark Johnson had a 3-song part, which is really long, and it won him Thrasher Skater of the Year award, really the only award in skateboarding that matters at all. In turn, Guy Mariano made a full comeback after a long absence from skateboarding. It was a great video, but there were some issues. For one thing, the skaters in Fully Flared, especially Mark Johnson, saw a lot of pressure to get skate footage. At one point, Johnson wasn't speaking with Ty Evans at all. Also, the video had a very different feel than previous Crailtap videos. It sort of felt like the same skaters were skating for a different company, although the skill level was still there. However, it's still a vital document of skating at the time. Even though Johnson's Fully Flared part isn't thought of in the same terms as Guy Mariano's Mouse part, or Stevie Williams' part in the Chocolate Tour, it's still a highlight of what skateboarding can be. Although it still had a high level of skateboarding, by the time the Girl Chocolate video Pretty Sweet came out in 2012, the team and the tone of Crailtap had changed a lot. Very few of the original World Industries transplants were still on the team, and big skaters left the companies after the video, including Gino Iannucci, Chico Brenes, Brian Anderson, Elijah Burrell, and Alex Olson. Guy Mariano and Eric Costin, two Crailtap heavyweights, also left to start their own board brand, and Mark Johnson was kicked off of Chocolate after some sponsorship drama. In addition, Crailtap was using subpar wood for its boards for a while, which affected sales, and supposedly big shoe companies like Nike would support other board companies in the hopes that brands like Girl and Chocolate would suffer, just so that they could get some of Lakai's market share, which is pretty messed up. Today, Girl, Chocolate, and Lakai are still big names, but they no longer command the same elite reputation. Although skaters will still put their careers on pause for a chance to get on Crailtap board companies, teams like Primitive or FA seem to attract more prominent talent. The point of all this is that Crailtap managed to pull off something within skateboarding that is extremely rare in any business. To a degree, they monopolized it with quality. The Girl and Chocolate teams were the most elite, and skaters, in turn, bought the boards. One of the only other companies that has a similar story is Anti-Hero. Girl and Chocolate's story is incomplete without seeing actual Crailtap videos, so check out the links in the description. Anyway, liking the video helps us a lot, and if you want to see more videos, subscribe to the channel. Also, please comment if we got something wrong. Later on.